They laid there for a few more minutes until it was time to get up out of bed and head to the shower. When they got up, she started to head towards her shower when he quickly grabbed her hand and said, "Oh, no, you don't. You're coming with me." She smiled and grabbed his hand and followed him into his shower, which she had never been in before. As they walked in, it was dark. As our romancer knows, never take a woman into a shower with you and turn on all those blinding bright bathroom lights. No, 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 never, ever. No, you instead turn on your battery-powered candles to light the way as you enter into the darkness. Before stepping into the shower together, he grabbed 2 battery-powered candles and turned them on. She held onto his arm calmly while he did this. They were so cute, standing there naked while he turned on the candles. These moments of stopping to take care of something reinforces the fact in the mind that, wow, we're naked, standing here. He's taking care of something for us. And I'm just loving that he's taking the lead like that. And while we're naked, I can't wait to love my man some more. He turned on the shower water, made sure it was the perfect warm, hot temperature, invited her to step in first, and then he followed. He then placed the candles high up on the shower's framed edge. It was the perfect place to put them, seeing they would stay put and radiate the right amount of light inside the shower area for them to be able to see each other and take care of any bathing duties they would soon bestow upon one another. He always made sure she was warm by keeping her under the warm flowing water from the shower head above her, pulling her in tight. Before doing anything, he stared into her eyes a few seconds, then leaned in for a light kiss and then planted one on her neck. She was now in wet heaven. She had never taken a shower with a man like this before in her life. It was a new experience. He sensed it and was taking things quite slowly for her benefit. He then reached down to grab some body soap he kept on the bench in the shower. Yes, this shower had a nice bench for them to sit on to kiss, fondle, wash up, or anything that they wanted to. She loved being washed by her man. He even grabbed a soap sponge, squeezed a little body soap onto it, and then started to scrub her body down ever so gently. She wrapped her arms around him while he scrubbed up and down her back, her sides, her arms, her butt cheeks, and more. She was in a state of euphoric, wet, dripping pleasure, being in the shower with him for the first time. What's next? This man keeps surprising me with ways to make me feel so loved and pleasured. Now he's bathing me? I'm beside myself. I'm literally frozen in his arms, and I love it. When he was done with her upper body, he knelt down to wash her legs. He actually motioned to her to put a foot up on the bench in the shower so he could wash one of her legs while maintaining eye contact with her, kiss her still, and wash her leg at the same time. When that leg was done, he motioned for the other one to be lifted. After that, he took some soap in his own hands and gently washed the sweet, loving crack of her behind and on down to her, that two-lipped pink love zone. Being careful not to put any soap up in that area. Yes, a Romeo knows better not to do that. That's an area that's going to be left to clean on its own. But he can certainly tend to the outer lips and outer region, of course. With her all suds up, she began to suds him up with body soap. He actually put some of it on her breasts to wash her front side, but instead of washing her breasts with his hands or a soap sponge, he used his broad chest to soap up lather on her breasts. Then he played with them, fondling soap and breasts together in his hands. It was a lot of fun. She loved it too. She then began to soap him down in just the same way she was cared for. What a team they soon made, lathering each other up like they were. Soaping his arms and shoulders, front and back, she worked her way down to his legs. He too lifted one leg up at a time onto the bench for her to easily wash while they kissed. He kissed her neck, she kissed his neck, and in several places while in the process. As he was finishing up, he took the soap sponge from her and motioned for her to put her hand out, palm up. He then squeezed a few drops of the body soap into the palm of her hand and motioned that she move her hand down to wash some of his, candy cane and candy balls. Washing them with her hand lathered up in soap, she could feel the structure of his love organ so much better, while fondling his candy balls for a while and hand-washing his joystick. It began to grow some and get somewhat hard. She loved the feeling of it growing in her hand any time that she held it like this. This time was no different, except they were in the shower together, under candlelight, and making out under the flow of warm water all around them. With his candy cane now growing even harder, she motioned that he grab the hand-held shower head, give it to her, and that he sit down on the bench so she could wash off all the soap all over his body and especially his love region, so she could give him a little bit of loving lip, tongue, and mouth service. Yes, she was going to lick his candy cane for a while in the shower. After a while, it was clean, smelling nice, and she was wet with ecstasy in the shower with her man. Why not? Lick away. He sat there, completely relaxed, having just made her come with his tongue just a few moments ago. He needed to rest. Feeling exhilarated and high from coming, she had a little energy to burn. Hey, fine. You go for it, honey. Just do your thing. I'm loving what you're doing, he thought to himself. She continued to slide her mouth up and down his love pipe, eventually to the point where she could feel it touch the back of her throat. Oh, it's so big and long. I love taking it all into my mouth like this, she thought to herself, while giving him his pleasure after he gave her pleasure back in the bedroom in between her legs with his tongue. She paused to look at him and smile. How's that? She said. Feels great, babe. Keep going. You're welcome. They really do get along, don't they? Each one focused on pleasing the other in ways that seemed so unselfish and quite selfless. Her pleasure is his pleasure, and his pleasure is now her pleasure, the way it ought to be. Feeling his balls and licking his lollipop was something she found great pleasure in. Just like him, she too was taking great pride in pleasuring her man sexually. He had already shown her that she does come first, always comes first, and always will. It was her turn to return the favor of pleasing him with sheer enthusiasm. It showed as she smiled more and more when it came time to take it in and stick it in and lick it up and all up and down and all around. Lollipop and balls, her favorite joy toys, inside and outside of her mouth. As he sat there on the bench, under some of the partial spray of the water that showered down on them, both to keep them warm, he had a thought. You know what? I think I want to come and let her take in my lollipop milk into her mouth. She's in the shower. She could easily wash her mouth out afterwards. Yeah, let's make this happen and see how she reacts. He began to focus on his own pleasure and getting aroused enough to come in her mouth in the shower. When the time came for him to come, he counted down. 3, 2, 1. At that moment, he extended his hands out and placed them on her head as she was still bobbing up and down on his lollipop with her tongue and mouth. Just as soon as he placed his hands on her head, he came, and his cum gun began pumping a load of sweet white milk into her mouth and onto her tongue. What's this? Oh, he's coming. Oh, I love it. She thought to herself quickly. She could feel his love gun pumping all that white milk upwards and out into her mouth. I have his milk in my mouth. The water's running down on me in the shower. I'm warm. My man's hands are on my head, motioning that he's happy. I love licking his lollipop until it comes in my mouth. Oh, I could just suck on this. This is sexy, she thought to herself. As he came, she could feel his love pipe pulsating and his candy balls getting bigger as they worked together in unison to shoot his man juice out like a water geyser, shooting off a load of nature's juice into the air. But because his cum was flowing quite upward, seeing that he was sitting down on the bench, his lollipop was pointing up, and she was on her knees facing down on his manhood, it came out fast at first and then slow. Call it gravity, if you will, slightly preventing more of it to come out as fast. Not to worry, she simply squeezed his lollipop with her hand, just a bit, as if to squeeze out that last drop. Having done her job, she lifted her head, looked up at him, smiled wide, licked her mouth, wiped off whatever was on it, and then opened it to wash out some of the extra man milk in and around her face. With one hand still on his you-know-what, her other hand on his knee, she knew she had pleased him well. What a new sensation she was feeling. Giving him that kind of treatment in the shower was something she didn't see coming. But did it ever come? It was something she could now add to her list of sexual lovemaking memories as she was starting to bond more and more with this man. She then stood up. He helped her, and then he stood up too. They held each other again, under the shared warm spray of the shower water coming down on them. He looked at her, she looked at him, and without saying a word, they leaned in to kiss one another one last time in the shower. This was an amazing first-time experience for them, and certainly it wouldn't be their last. He asked her, "Hey, you all good? All showered up?" She nodded. "Yeah." He turned the shower off and reached for a dry towel hanging by the shower. "Here, let me dry you off and get you warm." She smiled and almost cried a tiny little tear as she said to herself, "He is so good to me. Why haven't men treated me like this in the past?" All dried off and toweled up, he grabbed his towel, and she helped him just the same. Now that they were both dried off and ready to get back to bed, they did just that. On their way there, he asked if she needed anything. She said, "Just a water?" His reply, "Great, I'll get us some." She got into bed, under the covers, and waited for him to return. He came back quickly with 2 waters. He opened her bottle to prepare it for when she wanted to take a sip. He didn't want her hands to strain opening the bottle. If he could, do it for her, out of kindness, of course, naturally. Now back in bed, she turned to him, looking at him with love in her eyes, and said, "I've never felt so much pleasure before, or showered with anyone like that before." Well, you deserve it. Your pleasure is my pleasure, through and through. Whether we're in bed, or soaking wet in the shower like we were, or loving it up in a jacuzzi somewhere, I always want you taken care of in ways that make you smile all day and all night long. With another reply of gratitude, she said softly, "And I love how you hold me at night after we do all this sex kind of stuff. I mean, you just don't run off and leave me alone or go watch TV or look at your phone or... One guy I was with, a long time ago, would put pillows between us so he wouldn't have to touch me after we had sex. He said it was so he could sleep at night. Yeah, right. I was so hurt by that and often cried myself to sleep so many times. I was just beside myself in emotional pain. Well, you won't have to worry about that with me. I love holding you at night, and sometimes all night. I know. That's what I love about you. You don't let me go. You really do care. You really do get me. She smiled and nestled her head against his chest as she lay there in his arms. Well, let's get some sleep. Tomorrow I have something fun planned for us in the kitchen. Wait till you see what I have in store. It's nothing grandiose or nothing, but it's a fun type of experience that involves chocolate. Oh, I love chocolate. Great. Well, get your rest. We're going to be baking in the kitchen tomorrow. Oh, baking? Sounds like fun. I can't wait. You know, I can't wait to do anything with you, really. No matter what it is. You're so fun to be with, in a unique way, a special kind of way, one that makes me want to be with you all the time and never leave your side. After a few minutes of lying there like that, her head on his chest, she made a move to turn around, and together they spooned for the rest of the night. Soon they were fast asleep, dreaming, resting, recouping, and preparing themselves for another day of fun and who knows what. Does it matter, really? As long as they're together.